Hello and welcome to Stephanie's Movie Reviews. I am your host, Stephanie Thompson. I'm a member of the Screen Actors Guild, a classically trained singer-songwriter, vocal coach, and actress. In this show, we review 4 categories of films: action, family, drama, and comedy. This is the first segment of 4 segments, and in this segment, we are going to review an action film. And I just want you to know, if you're on social media right now, you can go to akexpertstv.com and you can check out all the segments that we have on akexpertstv.com, and that includes all 3 shows that we have here at WCOBM: World of Book Reviews with Judy Morio, and Amy Kodashian and the Experts with Amy Kodashian, who is the creator, producer, and director of the 3 shows, along with my show, Stephanie's Movie Reviews. So today I have a wonderful guest back with me for after he's been here many times before. Adnan Khawaja, thank you for being here.
Absolutely. When you told me about the movie, I was like, yep, I'm coming.
And he's also one of our sponsors with SkyVistaConsulting.com. Yeah?
Yes, sure am.
Yeah, and we're so happy to have him. So let me just briefly go over the movie. The movie was The Great Wall, and its category is suspense action. It's directed by Yimou Zhang. It stars Matt Damon, Jin Tian, Pedro Pascal, Willem Dafoe, Zhang Hanyu, and Eddie Peng, and it's PG-13 for fantasy action violence. It runs 1 hour and 44 minutes. And basically, the synopsis is 2 mercenaries come upon the army at the Great Wall, and this army is fighting these terrible monsters which are threatening their very existence. Is that about right?
That's about right. I was actually going to say Jurassic Park meets Great Wall.
Yeah, Jurassic Park meets Great Wall, right?
Yeah, in essence. But I think the movie was... obviously from the Oscars, it got nominated for good movie film editing.
Yes.
And so from the whole perspective of the movie, you notice the cinematography as well as the backgrounds and the whole fantasy land of the Great Wall back in the day when we didn't have major weapons. And so
yes,
that was kind of a cool synopsis overall. I was not too sure about the PG-13 part. I wish there was a little bit more to it.
Okay.
Just because, obviously they're introducing creatures that were not quite Jurassic Park-esque.
Right,
but,
right.
They were, I was going to say, one of the video game type of characters that was definitely portrayed in there. So, a real exciting movie from my point of view.
Yes.
Obviously, I'm a big fan of Matt Damon.
Yes.
And that makes a huge difference in terms of the movie piece of it, but there were a lot of working pieces. I'd love to hear more about what your thoughts were.
Well, first of all, I have been to the Great Wall. Have you been to the Great Wall?
No, that's on my bucket list.
Okay, well, I've been to the Great Wall, and so I was amazed just being on the Great Wall itself. It was just a really exciting experience, and seeing it on screen like that, the way it was portrayed in the movie, and when they gave the information at the beginning of the film that it took 1,700 years to build that thing was just like the immensity of it. I mean, I thought I saw it in IMAX, and so I was just like the whole time going just looking at the enormity of this Great Wall and just how huge it was, and that these monsters were threatening the Great Wall was pretty amazing, because the Great Wall was pretty ginormous to begin with.
Oh yeah.
So how could that be possible? These monsters had to be pretty intense and pretty up a lot of them to be threatening it. And of course, folks, it's fantasy. They say, well, it was a legend of the Great Wall or whatever, but it's fantasy. I mean, right? I mean, it was
absolutely.
It was total fantasy. I mean, no one believes that there were monsters back then or anything like that. But it was a fun movie. And I have to say, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but okay. One of the things that I loved about this movie was that the women were badass. Okay? They were.
They sure were.
They were. I mean, they were on the front lines kicking butt. You know what I mean?
From the martial arts perspective, I mean, I think that was awesome in the way they portrayed the female. And obviously, no spoiler alert of some sort. There were an instance where a female leadership did take over, so that was kind of a cool thing too.
Yes. Yes, but the way that they set up the army, like all the formations and the drums and the whole, like, the way that they did the fighting and the stances and all that kind of thing, I just found it fascinating.
It was. I mean, I'm a big fan of sci-fi, so this
Yeah.
to me, was action sci-fi, and real exciting overall. And the nice thing that really captured me the most was, obviously your setup. The whole setup was around the Great Wall, but then right behind the background where you have the whole horde of animals. I mean, the creatures coming through,
Yeah.
and then climbing up the Great Wall and in formations that there was some intelligence behind it. That actually got me
Yes.
quite curious. And I mean, again, I'm a horror movie buff in some respect. I also love zombie movies, so to speak. So it
Right.
reminded me quite a bit about World War Z with Brad Pitt.
Yes.
And I thought, hey, okay, this is kind of a cool concept. So you got your imagination sort of running through. I'm like, hey, what is the next thing that could actually happen?
Right.
And with the way they had the weaponry set up on how to attack these creatures were actually pretty cool.
The Secrets of the Great Wall, are you talking about that? Like what they did with the wall itself?
Oh,
And the
that too.
wall
That
itself?
yeah. And
Not giving any spoilers.
Not yep. And
but
but the cool thing was when one of the scenes actually, which I really like, was they had a part of the wall kind of elevate, and they had they call it the
Yes.
Suicide Squad or the Death Squad or something like that. And I was like, okay, this is neat.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing sort of happened. But I mean, it's a very full action-packed movie where you can't really predict what's going to happen next. But although you can, if you've seen enough fantasy movies,
Sure.
but at the same token, there was William Dafoe's role. I thought was kind of hidden.
It was hidden, and he kind of played like a slimy character.
He did.
He just was kind of like in the shadows and playing a slimy character. And Matt Damon, now, did you believe him as the reluctant hero? Because I did. I believed it.
He did, and obviously there were a lot of things that led up to that. Where he was sort of a mercenary that They were talking about flags and the whole lot, and I was like, okay, you can understand that this was he was sort of lost as far as who does he have his allegiance to, because
Yes.
in the movie he explains a few things that sort of made you to believe that okay, maybe it's time to sort of have something where a purpose where he can fight for, and I think that sort of played right through, build up to where disappointments didn't quite happen at all, and that was kind of my feeling on his whole character, that it did play up to the role, and it was sort of safe in a lot of ways, just because you had his character be defined right up front. This is what he is, and this is how things are going to go. But overall, quite impressive. Loved the background. Loved the action scenes.
The visual effects were stunning in this movie. The costumes were beautiful. I gave this movie 5 popcorns. I thought it was amazing. I really, really enjoyed this movie. So I highly recommend you see it. See it in the theaters, because it's one of those movies you want to see in the theaters.
A small TV screen will not do justice.
It will not do it justice. It will not do it justice. Well, Adnan, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
I'm glad you enjoyed the movies. It seems like as much as I did.
It was nice.
And thank you for joining us. And again, if you go to akexpertstv.com, you can see all the segments of our shows. And we'll be right back.